Hey folks, this is Vint with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out servers at capacity. Please try again later. Oh, I'm sorry, Helldivers 2. This is a game that you can find on Steam for about 40 bucks. I myself got it on Green Man Gaming for about 17% off. So, here's the thing. A lot of people may dislike this particular viewpoint. Okay. It has mostly positive reviews on Steam, so, it is a good game when I've been able to play it. But if you can't even get into the game that you purchased, that is a problem. Some people will defend the game to no end and say, oh, you just have to deal with it, because this game is great. Yeah. Please. Could you imagine the uproar? I've worked at McDonald's when I was a teenager. And could you imagine someone ordering a cheeseburger and then you telling them, no, sorry, we can't make your burger right now. It'll be ready tomorrow. Could you imagine the uproar? People have complained and have asked to speak to my manager as a teenager when they didn't get mustard on their stupid hamburger. Okay? I'm just saying. So now imagine today we've got a $40 game. And twice now, in the last 2 days, I have not been able to play it because of server issues. That is a problem to me. I'm sorry. It's a huge, glaring problem. You're paying 40 bucks for a game, you expect to be able to play it. People will defend that and say, well, look at World of Warcraft, look at other MMOs, look at the queue times on the old, I don't care who you are, whether it's an indie developer, a AAA developer. If you're going to charge money for something, you better believe that I expect to be able to, play it. Play the game that I bought. I'm sorry. So that is a huge issue. And there are plenty of bugs as well that I've come across in this game. And when I've been able to get into the game and play it, and I would come back from a mission, I actually got an error that said, can't connect to server right now. And I'm like, well, did the game actually process the fact that I won this? On the bottom left of my score screen, it said level 0 Space Cadet. I'm not level 0, and now I'm level 8 all of a sudden. And then my stats screen sort of blanked out. I haven't been able to see my stats screen for a very long time now. And on top of that, it just said it couldn't connect to server. And I'm like, well, did anything I just do for the last half an hour matter? I'm sorry, for a game that has progression, where you're supposed to be leveling up, again, huge problem. 40 bucks, okay? The launch was rough. We're talking, this is now February 17th, and the game launched in February 8th. So they've had a couple of weeks now to address this problem, server issues, whatever. It should have been resolved by now, especially for, a PlayStation. The publisher is PlayStation LLC, okay? The publisher, and then Arrowhead Game Studios. I'm sorry, but that should have been taken care of. All right, so now that rant is over, what is Helldivers 2? Well, you're going to be going on a series of missions, and I've already published a Helldivers 1 video recently, and that kind of is the same as this game in that, you've got this galactic map, and you're going to be choosing missions, and you're going to be contributing to the success of the mission as a whole. Everyone that plays this game will be contributing to missions, and that will affect the galactic map. Now, in between, you can buy stratagems with the credits that you earn, and you also pick up these materials. There's 3 different kinds of materials, and the more advanced ones can only be earned on the harder difficulty settings, which is a shame because the game isn't balanced for solo play. You can play on trivial and easy difficulty and typically win, but the game does not recognize that you are playing by yourself and will throw everything at you anyway. It doesn't balance. Even in games like Deep Rock Galactic has a balance system in play where the more people playing, the more aliens it throws at you. And even when you're playing solo, there's Bosco that will fly around and help you. Not in this game. If you're playing solo or 4 players, whatever, it's the same difficulty on the trivial difficulty, if that makes any sense. So you're kind of forced on the higher difficulties to team up with other people to actually get these better materials because you have to play on a harder difficulty. Okay? So I dislike that. I wish they would balance the game to accommodate solo players like myself. Everything I've done up to this point, the last, I want to say 9.2 hours on record, everything has been done solo. And I'm enjoying it. So as long as I can play it, and so as long as my progress saves, which for the most part it does, but still, those times where I'm like, well, this should be, this is not an early access title. Why am I getting so many bugs? You know. So, you will pick one of two factions to fight against on the galactic map. There's the automatons, which are like the Borg, I guess. They've got like AT-AT walkers from Star Wars, or not. It's more like ATSTs, but anyway. And then you've got these bugs. I think the Tyranids, which it's kind of like a Warhammer thing, I guess, a similarity. But anyway, you're going to choose a mission, whether it be light or dark. Like you can actually choose a night or day on the planet, which is really cool. And then you're going to choose a drop point, and then you're going to choose the stratagems that you bring with you. Stratagems are support items that you can call during the game or during the match in order to get something. They could be sentry turrets of different types, like there's a Gatling turret and autocannon mortar turrets. But you have to like level up in order to even get the ability to purchase these new stratagems. And then you've got more like airstrike stuff where there's EMP gas airstrikes and precision strikes and carpet bombing and napalm, and there's all sorts of different stratagems. There's supply packs. You can call like a supply pack down, and that will it'll go on your back and people can grab from it to rearm. So there's a lot of different cool things that you can do in this game, again, when you're able to play. So and the action itself isn't bad. I didn't know if I could make the transition from a top-down viewpoint to a third-person viewpoint, and I did. I actually like it this way. What it pleases me the most are the sound effects, the explosions, and the limbs that break off of the enemies that you're shooting. When I play, for example, Starship Troopers Extermination, I like the swarm of bugs attacking the base and defending it as a group. But this game has way more ragdoll. Like the ragdoll physics for this are much more satisfying, and the explosions are much more satisfying than is typical. So I like the overall gameplay. It's very tense, but I will warn you, there's no way to turn friendly fire off, and that even goes with your turrets too. So it's very possible that, you know, it's very possible that you threw your turrets down to help you, but then they slaughter you because you got in the way, you know. Another thing that kind of irks me is the fact that there are microtransactions in the game. You've got this season pass thing where you can use these badges that you find to unlock new content, which is fine. But then you've got these super credits where you can buy with real money and use these super credits to then buy new stuff. On a $40 game, and then to see microtransactions in game that actually affect gameplay in some way. Like if they were aesthetic, that would be one thing. Like with Deep Rock Galactic, all of their DLC stuff is all aesthetic. It doesn't affect gameplay at all. Whereas in this game, you know, you can actually buy weapons. You can buy things that affect things, you know. So in a sense, it's pay to win that way. So that's a problem. Huge problem. I'm fine with, you know, the badges and the season passes, like, you know, just unlocking new stuff with your badges that you find, fine. But the microtransactions, I think, have to go. They should all be included into the game, just locked behind progression. When you are playing solo, I can't speak for multiplayer. You can respawn up to 5 times if you die, but you drop everything. So if you did have those support items on you when you died, then, you know, you're kind of SOL. You have to go back. You drop down. You have to find them again and pick them up, or wait for the stratagem timer to come back. Now, the stratagems themselves, like in the original game, you have to go through a quick QTE event, like you I guess pull up your wristwatch, whatever, and then you hit up, down, left, right, whatever to call this thing, or right, up to call this thing, or down, and then you throw the grenade, and then that's actually like a beacon that will call down that support item. So if you didn't care for that in the original Helldivers, but it's going to be the same thing here, and you're going to hate it. Some people love it because it adds a bit of tension to the game, because, you know, you're typically being attacked when you're trying to do these things, so there's a bit of strategy and when to call them and when not to call them. There's also a pretty long cooldown on these as well, so there's that. So yeah, what attracted me to this game was the gameplay and the leveling up and the different environments. Like there are two factions as opposed to three in this game. The original Helldivers game had three factions. This one only has two, and it's something that I hope they rectify in the future because others, the Tyranids and the automatons, they do act a bit differently. Like the bugs have little holes in the ground that they come out of, and you can throw a grenade into the hole and blow it up. But it's very satisfying to shoot the limbs off of these things and just have fun with that. And the automatons, fighting them again, it's kind of like fighting the Borg. They'll come in with drop ships, and it's really cool. But my biggest thing with this is I love the different environments. It's harder to see at night, but at the same time, the enemies have a harder time seeing you at night. When you're playing solo, this is very much a stealth-heavy kind of game. You do not want to attract a lot of attention. You can almost forget about the defense maps. The defense maps has you escorting civilians, like 20, 50, whatever it is. And you've got a steady stream of robots coming in, the automatons. And I did it barely on my own solo on Trivial. Barely. Again, this game is meant to be played, stealth-like if you're playing solo or like maybe two people. So just keep that in mind. If you are looking to buy this solo, you're going to be limited to the first couple of difficulty levels, trivial and easy. But also keep in mind, you won't be able to progress past a certain point because you won't be able to collect the materials, the research materials that are on the surface of the planet. You need those in order to level up your ship. There's ship upgrades and stratagem unlocks. The ship upgrades buff the stratagems as a whole. So this ship part might upgrade all of the Gatling or all of the turrets so that they're more available 10% faster or something like that. So just be mindful that this game, kind of locks you behind. You have to pair up with people and you have to play on the harder difficulties to get these particular resources. A buddy of mine on my Discord channel, I was talking to him about this game. He's made more progress than I have. He says once you hit level 10, the way you play is going to be a lot different because when you're playing on a harder difficulty, there's new enemies that come out and are way tougher, and it kind of forces you to come at situations differently with different weapons and the like. And I believe it. So I haven't gotten there, so this is not going to be a review because of that reason. This is more like an first impressions kind of thing. I will just say this. As a solo player for the last 9 hours, I enjoy the, on trivial or easy, going down to a planet, running around for maybe between 5 to 15 minutes, doing the mission, and then at the end of it, you have to wait for your dropship to come and pick you up. And that's usually like a gauntlet of attacks that you have to fend off until that happens. I'm enjoying the gameplay loop as it stands. But it gets a little repetitive after a while. The mission types are pretty limited, at least on the trivial and easy settings. You get more things as you get access to more mission types and the like as you increase the difficulty on the map. Again, I did kind of hint at bugs earlier. No pun intended. But there are various points of interest on the map. Like there's side quests that you can do, and then there's these pods that you can open. But in two separate occasions, and well, the two that I recorded anyway, there's more, I got stuck on them. I don't know what it is, but I opened the darn thing, the door, and then I had to go a particular way to get unstuck. This shouldn't be happening on a $40 game that is not in early access. This is a fully, quote unquote, fully released game. I should not be getting stuck in the environment, and I should not have connection issues because the developers, whoever, saw how popular this game was getting. They should have immediately purchased that server space so that everyone can play. Does it really take 2 weeks to do that? I don't know, but it shouldn't. I mean, how hard is it to call up whatever server thing you're using and go, hey, we estimate another 100,000 people about to play this game, up our server count. I'm not a tech person, okay? Maybe it's more complicated than that. But if it takes 2 weeks to do that, really? Really? I'm sorry, but no, that's not acceptable to me. So, Okay, so positives in this game: the gunplay is satisfying, the explosions are satisfying, the general gameplay loop and the progression system is satisfying. As a con, when it works. When it works. Okay? Con number one, can't connect sometimes to the actual game to play it. And con number two, I'm getting stuck in the environment, and I sometimes at the end of a mission it says failed connect to server. So I don't know if my progression, I didn't sit there with a calculator and make sure I was getting my XP, whatever. So that's a problem. That is a huge problem. That's something they need to fix. That's a must-have kind of thing. As a want kind of thing, I would like different mission types, and more so, I want the game to be balanced around player count. So in a solo game, I want to be able to play on medium and hard and challenging, whatever the different difficulties are, so I can collect those materials as a solo player. I want to be able to do that and not get crushed. Okay, I would like that. And then in a 4-player game, because 4 people are playing, then up the difficulty on the challenging setting or hard, whatever it is. But the game is not balanced based on player count right now, and I think it needs to be. They're alienating a huge audience. I mean, there are a lot of people that don't like playing with other people. I mean, let's face it, a lot of us are introverted, okay? I get that. Some of us have no problem playing with randoms and whatever, pugs, whatever. But there are some of us that prefer to play solo. We prefer to play on our own because, we're pissed off at something about our day job and we want to come home and just unwind and then not have to deal with any more people. So we go into a game and shoot stuff up, and we're trying to unwind. And the last thing we want to deal with is more people, so we play solo. In this game, doesn't allow that. I mean, you can, and you can beat it on trivial and easy and maybe medium, but it's not balanced so that you can play on the harder difficulties. There are some people, I'm sure, that are like, oh, I can beat it on difficulty 9 solo, whatever, and I'm sure they can. But at the same time, these people typically are really skilled at games like this, or know the tricks to this game to play very well and to get around certain situations. Whereas a player that is, just learning the game or has arthritic hands, for example, and can't move that fast, that's a problem. Medical issues. I'm sure these people playing on difficulty 9 do not have arthritis in their hands and, are limited to certain things. But anyway, so Helldivers 2, I would recommend this on a sale right now. I don't say I regret my $40 purchase, less than that because it was on sale on Green Man Gaming, but at the same time, like, I think that this game should have cooked a bit more before it was released to the general public. And if you looked at the game had a very rough launch, and I feel like they're still trying to recover from that. I don't know why it's taking so long to do so. Why there's still server issues, I don't know, but it should not be happening on a $40 game. I'm sorry. I mean, I could just as easily go play something else that costs $5, $10 and be fine. You know what I mean? It's just unfortunate the way it is. So yeah, Helldivers 2, it's kind of a mixed bag for me right now, but when it works, and I have no problems, it's a fantastic game. It's very addicting. Okay, I love everything about it, but the back end stuff needs fixed, and the balancing needs addressed. Those are the two biggest things that I think need to take place if this game wants to continue to succeed. That's just my opinion. So there you go, folks. That was Helldiver 2 First Impressions. This is Vince. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all next time. Take care.